Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're back for another episode of Always Almost There, day after show live. How's everybody doing? It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Goose just announced that tonight at Forest Hills is sold out, which means last night's record of biggest show ever is about to be broken, which is pretty exciting, immediately. And last night was a lot of fun. We're here today. Neil and I are joined by Trevor here, hanging from Neil's mirror. And we are joined by our very good friends RJB and Dean of Goose the Band Trivia, making his second appearance on the pod this week. He's back.
Thank you for the invite this time.
But how you guys doing? Thanks for being here today.
I'm great. I just want to say that I'm about to open this Julius Treehouse beer, courtesy of our friend Neil. Thank you, Neil. I will say that Neil and Ryan stayed at my house, and Neil brought me a bunch of amazing beers, and Ryan brought me jack shit. I just want to say that for the record.
The gift of his company, RJ, you know?
I happened to pull into the Treehouse parking lot at the exact same time the two of them did as well. So yeah, we shared some beers together the other day, and I gave Neil a little going away gift too.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
It was good. And I got a cool pin. Anyway, we're here to talk about last night's show in Philly. It was a blast. Yes, we did stay with RJ. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to his whole family. Neil and I really enjoyed the bunk bed in his son Franklin's room. It was great. I slept with a stuffed dinosaur. It was good. But let's talk about the Goose show. Let's start with you, Dean. Getting into the venue, your pre-show vibes, where your seats were.
It was great. Went with my wife and some friends. My 33rd show, my wife's 4th show, ended up parking right out front in lot 1, which was great. My friend had some early admission ticket things that were like $15 each. So we went in and scored posters right away. We were in at gates, just regular seated tickets. We were seated 5 rows back of the soundboard, dead on Trevor. So good spot. Hung out on the lawn until the show started, basically. So we ended up back on the lawn, just hanging out with some people until the show started.
Nice. RJ, as a member of the board of the Man, would you like to talk up the venue a little bit?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, first of all, the Man it's an amazing place, and if you don't know, it's a nonprofit that also helps. It does a bunch of music education stuff with kids around Philadelphia. It's been an institution in the community for so long, and I know that like people just get, you get the calendar for the summer, and usually it's Fish 2 nights, and like people like me on the board are like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go to those, like play it cool. but this year it was like we saw the schedule a little early and saw Goose in late June. You're like, holy shit, this is it. It's happening. It's such a great venue. Like the staff is also great. The volunteers who help with security and all that are amazing. And we had a great hang in the afternoon. My buddy Rob, who turned 50 earlier this year, we celebrated his birthday on our block, which Ryan and Neil and a bunch of others were able to come hang. So it was a great afternoon.
It was lovely. Great pre-show vibe getting in. Shout out to the gold parking.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Elevated the experience.
Really did. And we got into the venue. Our seats were we were Peter side in the main 500 section, second row. So pretty amazing view of the stage, kind of on that side, and kind of looking just to our left and behind. We had a pretty amazing view of the whole like massive venue and the lawn and everything. And going in, I can't speak for what you were expecting going in numbers wise, but I knew. Looking at the ticket sales, the last few weeks that the pavilion was full, but the one thing you never know about a venue like this is how many people are going to be on the lawn, how full is it going to look? Because there could be a couple thousand people up there and there could be, 8,000 people up there. And I was so happy to see last night that it was just a sea of people. It did not look like there was space, which, I mean, when I went up there at Set Break to say hi to people, it didn't seem like super crammed in, like people didn't have enough room to dance, but it was definitely full. And I'd love to see that. Neil, how are you feeling pre-show?
Pre-show was pretty great. Shout out to RJ's neighbor with the incredible hoagies. So had some hoagies pre-show, and then we just hustled right in, got in nice and easy. Everyone got settled, and as you said, just turning around and looking at that venue and all of those people, it's just, I don't know, it's exciting stuff. You kind of want to root for this band, you want them to succeed, and then you kind of find yourself in a moment like that where you're like, this is so great for them. This is stoked. Yeah, stoked.
Yeah, this is amazing. Well, let's start diving into the show here. Our first 4 songs of the show: The Whales, Silver Rising, Atlas Dogs, Flow Down. RJ, let's start with you. This is your first Cotter show. How are you feeling off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, I think I might have a different opinion than you guys. I thought it was such a strong start. Like I know that Wales probably, like, in terms of the length, is probably pretty standard, but I like that it's like a little bit jammed out. It's a little bit stretched. It felt very patient. And I think for a show like this, where it's your first headlining show at a pretty huge venue, they showed a lot of like patience early on. And really, like, you think about like Wales and Silver Rising, like back to back to open a show, is like, it's kind of a bold move, like if you were less confident, maybe you would open up with Arcadia or something, and like really try to make a mark fast. But they were really taking their time getting into it. I thought the first up until Flow Down, I thought was like kind of perfect. I love Silver Rising. It's one of my favorite songs, and I felt it was definitely a little bit of an emotional moment, seeing these guys who we've been watching on this rise for so long hit yet another peak in terms of crowd and venue, and a song like that we've heard them play acoustic in small venues, but it worked. They filled the space perfectly. I was thrilled.
Yeah, no, I agree. Good comment from Emily here in the chat. Very bold. The set list was super creative last night. Yeah, I will say that I've really been enjoying the Whales as a show opener. This is the second time this tour that it's opened a show. And I think it's showing up in that slot a bunch last year too. But yeah, I just thought the one thing about this part of the set was, they've been doing these kind of lighter first quarters, this tour, and then kind of getting to the jams later in the show. And I feel like, just for me as somebody who, obviously loves jams, I was hoping that maybe Atlas Dogs would get taken out again, like it did in Raleigh last week. Or maybe, just a little more improv before the latter half of the first set. But, maybe there was a bit of nerves with the sit-ins coming up. But Dean, what did you think of the first half of the first set?
First part was great. I think RJ described the Whales perfectly with the patience of the band getting started and stuff. I was a little shocked that Silver Rising was next. I was like, whoa, Silver Rising? Second song? You're kind of used to it near the end, sometimes as an encore. And then getting Atlas Dogs after that. I was kind of hoping we get the trilogy. We didn't with How It Ends, but it was great. I love Silver Rising. It's been one of my favorite songs since it came out. Love the lyrics to it. Real passionate, emotional song. Back to the Whales. I mean, I was at the 2 Maine shows, so I thought maybe we'd get that up in Maine, but we're not too far from Cape May, New Jersey, where there is whale watching. So I guess it kind of bodes well for Philadelphia. Not too far away from that. So
there we go.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, these are, like you said, these are the first quarters that we're used to, and there's not much to dissect about this. This is some pretty standard Goose, and it was good. I mean, I love Atlas Dogs at the start of a show, always. Again, echoing what everybody else said, Silver Rising in that spot was weird and also great.
Yeah.
I thought that particular version was great. I mean, we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier in the day, like Goose, like kind of expanding their sound to fill these sheds. And that song in that spot was just right. Like it was exactly what was needed in the moment.
Yeah.
So really good stuff. Whales opener. I think we got a pretty good streak of Peter songs opening, or at least like often.
Yeah,
opening.
like Flea, Wales, Elizabeth.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we should expect from them right now. So all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, good point. Dean, you mentioned, and someone else in chat mentioned, hoping for the the Silver Rising suite or the dog tick, as it were. Yeah, where's How It Ends? Where's STL? We got 2 shows left on this tour. Come on, Goose. Play one or both,
alone.
Please. But then let's move on here to our first sit-in of the night. Rogers Stevens of Blind Melon coming in on No Rain. I thought this was great. Let's start with you, Neil. What did you think of this sit-in?
I mean, really good stuff. Like, I, growing up, was a big fan of Blind Melon. Like, when I was in college, I dated a girl who like insisted that I love Blind Melon. And so she succeeded. She made me love Blind Melon. And so exciting to see him out there, although like conflicted feelings on this. And like, people might disagree with what I'm about to say, but one of my favorite things about No Rain, when Goose plays it, is that Peter is on guitar.
Yeah.
And then this sit-in prevented that from happening. So that's kind of a bummer. But the guitar solo was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, all these years later, this guy has that same sound that he did way back when. And also like had some thoughts on it today. Like, that must have been really exciting for him. You know, the song that he probably played way too much over the course of his early part of his career in front of, you know, millions and millions of people probably over the course of time, hasn't probably played that song in front of a really large audience like that since.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty cool.
Yeah. As somebody who pretty much, you know, only knows that song because of Goose. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? I thought it was really cool, and I loved his guitar sound. It also just, he seemed to be super into it on the stage, like the way he was dancing around while he was playing. You know, his sound, he and Rick, you know, seemed to be vibing off each other really well. So I thought that was great. Dean, what did you think?
I loved it. Great guest, great song. I mean, been chasing it for a while, want to get it checked off, and I got it checked off. I was really happy for my wife. Both of the covers tonight. This one, both of them. She loves both the songs, and I love No Rain. I thought it was great. I could hear, listening to the soundboard the next day, this morning, and you could hear the guitar much more than I could live. I didn't hear it as well. That's just me, maybe where I was for some strange reason. I didn't hear it as well, but the song was great. I have to tell you, if you go back and go look at the history of the band, it's kind of a sad story what happened to him and stuff. And this song came out in '93 and how the band ended up breaking up and stuff. But I love doing that with these cover songs. And a lot of people listening and watching, go back and read about these songs and these bands, these covers that they do. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. RJ, your thoughts on the No Rain?
Yeah, I mean, like another emotional moment for me. I mean, I didn't realize that he was local. I live in Philly. I didn't realize that he had like a Philadelphia connection at all. But that's like that self-titled album is a top 15 album for me all time. Like we listen to it a lot. Other songs on the album, you know, we don't have time to dissect the album, but it's amazing. So to like hear them pay tribute to the song in a way that was really authentic to the history, and like you said, Dean, like the way that band like ended is just it's a really sad. It's one of the great tragedies in like 90s rock. I mean, there were a lot, but one of them. So to see them kind of pay tribute to it in a way that I felt was really honoring the song, and not like, all right, now we're going to jam for 20 minutes, but like, this is, you know, giving this guy a little bit of a, you know, closure or more whatever. It was great. I thought they were super respectful too, as usual with guests, you know.
Absolutely. And as far as musicians sitting in with Goose on No Rain goes, I think this one is the best one.
Yeah.
Let's throw it back to you, RJ, here for our next sit-in of the night. We have Matt Quinn of Mount Joy adding vocals, California Magic. Very interesting. What did you think of this, RJ?
Strange. I thought it was strange. Well, I told you guys, I thought it was.
Oh.
Well,
we lost RJ.
Oh, I thought I lost.
All right. No, we lost RJ. So okay. Dean, let's hear your thoughts on the Cali Magic with Matt Quinn.
I thought it was good.
Is he back? Is he back?
He's laughing.
It was strange. Sorry, Dean, go ahead. It was a strange.
No, you go. Go ahead.
I guess my my connection spoke for me. It was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought it was kind of strange. I thought it was kind of a strange choice of a song, but then again, it's like a fairly straightforward song. Like it felt like maybe a late ad, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, California Magic, like, you know, you just kind of say it's there wasn't a lot of probably prep or harmonies necessary, right? It's just like, let's switch verses and whatnot, but it was fine.
All right, there you go. Dean, what were your thoughts?
I liked it. It was good. I mean, I've seen California Magic a lot, so it was interesting and nice to see a guest on stage. Not my favorite version, It's interesting though because it's from January with Rick playing with Mount Joy in Mexico. Those 2 nights. Mount Joy coming back, and obviously he's playing with them, so it's kind of interesting how it comes back and forth. Mount Joy's actually playing at the Man, RJ, right, in the end of the summer. Yeah, so it kind of plays out. I missed. They played there last year 2 nights at the smaller stage. Unfortunately, I'm so mad I missed those shows because I really wanted to see them. So hopefully this time around I'll get to the Man for this. It's on my schedule of a possibility. So, but it was a good song.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought he didn't, nail some of the vocal lines super well. Neil, you had a theory about maybe like monitors weren't so good on stage.
Yeah, I think he couldn't hear himself singing. I mean, that guy's an incredible singer. Fine, I'll say it. It didn't sound good. Okay.
Thank you for breaking through the fluff for us there.
It did not sound good at points. That guy is a phenomenal singer, so something had gone wrong.
Yeah.
And I think, Goose does play with in-ears. They probably don't have on-stage monitors, and if they do, they're probably not nearly as finely tuned as they would be in, say, like, a performance with a band that does use on-stage monitors, right? So my theory is that he just couldn't hear himself. And that is what happens when a guy who can sing really well can't hear himself. Like, sometimes it just doesn't sound good.
Right.
So
there we go. Thank you for saying that, Neil. That was very brave of you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the first big boy chunk of this show. A Western Sun and Tumble. Let's start with you, RJ.
I gotta just say quickly, like I've said, this is the 3rd time so far. Emotional moment with Western Sun. Like, I mean, that song is. I told you guys earlier today. That's the song that made me realize how good Rick is as a songwriter, and just like tapping into these emotions and the depth of metaphor and also just storytelling. I love that song so much. And then Tumble was, just such a great way to end the set. I mean, I don't know, like, is there a set without a 20-minute jam this tour? It just feels like it's
not many.
It always happens, and when it's awesome. What a great way! I love the song, and I thought it was a great way to end the set.
Yeah, Neil, let's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to dissect the jam too much, other than to say that Goose it's so good at getting into that bliss space, and they did it again last. I just felt great, It's just like, tour has been long. I've been tired. I've been doing a lot of partying and staying up late. But like you find yourself in the confines of that bliss jam, and everything is fine.
Yeah,
you don't feel the pain. You're just excited, and I was last night. There was quite a bit of jumping up and down. My wallet came flying out of my
during Tumble, I looked down, I was felt something under my feet, and I looked down, and Neil's credit cards are strewn all over the ground under my feet. I was like, you might want to pick that up.
I gotta say, I put my phone down on the ground at the beginning of the set because I started jumping around and my phone was popping out of my pocket. So I was just I'll just put it on the ground for now. There's too much jumping. Can I just say quickly, Neil, sorry to interrupt, Ryan, but I think the way that they're using, we talk a lot on HF Pod about some of the years of 3.0 Fish being where the bliss peaks were a little bit of a crutch. It's something that they get to quickly and easily, and it's a good way to peak. You get good lights, but it felt like a go-to thing that was very reliable. And Fish, I don't think really does that anymore. But the way that Goose is using the patience of the jams to get to the bliss is really impressive, and I think makes the payoff so much better. It's not like they're just going to this major key jam right out of, they're experimenting with all these different sonic elements, darker, all these effects, and then when it organically happens, it's such a better payoff.
So good. Yeah. I don't know, Dean. I'm curious if this happened where you were in the venue, but also, Neil was talking about just feeling great during this jam. There was the perfect breeze coming into the pavilion from our side that just it was just I said to Neil during the jam as they're really getting into the bliss, I was I wonder what this jam feels like without this breeze. Is it as good as it feels right now? Luckily, listening back to it today, it is. And it's truly spectacular. Dean, What did you think of the tumble?
Well, we were getting bursts of breezes all night, so didn't really pay attention to what song we were getting them at. But when you got a burst of a breeze, it was great. It just felt awesome. Tumble was great. I love the jam. It was a lot of fun. It was a great jam. My wife goes to me midway through, I guess, and she's like, he's making fireworks out of the lights. That's what she thought. She thought they looked like fireworks popping and stuff like that. And the wind was swirling around the round lights, and it was creating such a cool effect. And she loved it, which was great. So I was really happy about that. Great jam, a great way to end the set. And obviously, you knew the set was coming to a close. It was a pretty long first set. That was one of the longer first sets out there. So obviously, we know that with the second set, which balanced it out. So
yes.
Way to segue into Ryan complaining about time management.
Hey, before we get there, I want to say we're talking about the Bliss, but one of the things that I kind of overlooked in the moment last night that really stuck out to me when we were re-listening today was the re-entry to Tumble at the end. Because, Rick kind of pulls it back in, and you're like, all right, we're going to wrap up in a sec. And then you get a few minutes of just, like, evil shredding craziness, which was, like, so good. Like, we're driving, and Neil's just going, like, what the hell is Rick doing? Like,
so good.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hell of a way to close the set.
That was one of those moments that, at the end of that little jam that Rick does that Peter will go, way to go, Rick, or hell yeah, Rick. It's one of those last 2-3 minutes that Peter comments at the end of a song sometimes where you get that. And you're just like, wow, what just happened? So that is an amazing part of the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question, Ryan, just because you guys have been on tour and have talked about every show? Do you feel like there's more full band improv? Like, because I was thinking about the one of my favorite jams, the All I Need from Montana a couple of years ago, which is basically, to me, it's just Rick like emoting through the guitar, like in a blissful, like he kind of does that. Bozeman.
Yes.
Bozeman. Like where he, but this feels like when you get to those peaks and like what you're saying, that gritty, like the ending, it feels so much more like it's a full band experience. Do you think that that's changed significantly since Cotter joined? Is that a marked difference to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say for sure. I think, well, in the context of this Tumble Jam, for example, right? I think it's a collective shift into these spaces, and Rick is not dragging everybody there. Or Rick is not doing a thing where like it gets quiet and then Rick just starts to play some kind of melody and everybody picks it up and things like that. Like I mean, really a lot of it does feel like it is driven by Cotter himself, where like things just kind of organically find their way to just everything like kind of working together.
Well, he knows, and there are a couple of times in this jam and later in the show as well where he reads that, okay, this section's kind of coming to an end. We need to switch things up a little, and he will increase the tempo or decrease the tempo or go double time or go half time. And it's just like he and Rick are so in sync right now. We were saying this in the car today, like there's no reason that they should be this in sync. Like Cotter's been in the band for such a short amount of time. It's truly incredible and speaks to Cotter's talent as a drummer and as a listener that he's locked in already. But let's do a quick little set break segment here. Dean, how are you feeling at set break? Kind of expectations for set 2?
Feeling pretty good. Ended up running up the lawn to the top of the vending area to meet some friends who own a brewery, RJ, in Medford. You're going to have to come out there one time and have some beers. They have a Great Dead cover band every month there. So I hung out with them for a little bit. They were at their first show, which was pretty cool. And the breeze was nice up there. So it was definitely a little bit more airy and a little cooler outside of the shed, which was good. But felt really good. Was getting anticipated and excited for set 2. So
awesome. RJ, how are you feeling at set break?
Perfect. We had some box mates who were seeing their first Goose shows, but who had been listening to Goose for a while and were Osiris fans. And so talking to them about their experience, and there's a conundrum that Neil might know about hometown shows, which is like, sometimes at set break, I'm like, we gotta like get home and get the babysitter and, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't feel any of that last night. I was just like, this is pure, like, we're just having a great time. It's magic. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, I ran up to the lawn at set break as well, said hi to some people, made it back down right before they started. I remember thinking, I figured that I hadn't looked at what curfew was before the show, and I figured based on when they started, and I'll talk about once Redbird started, I was like, oh, I guess curfew's 11:30. That's kind of cool. But unfortunately, it wasn't. You got any more thoughts on that before we get into the big boys of set 2?
No, man, I don't like. Separate never registers for me, like I do a couple laps around the venue.
Yeah.
Like say hi to a couple of people if I can. I think I just like went to the bathroom and got a water. I think that's what I did, but works. I don't know. In any case, that was Separate.
Yeah. So we come out of set 2 with Hunger Sight. Very exciting. This is the Cotter jam of the night to me. Watching him drum, there have been a lot of shows on this tour where my seats and my angle have made it so like I can't see him. Like at the Fox, I was pretty close Trevor's side, so I couldn't see Cotter. And Raleigh, I was, closer to the front, couldn't see him. So it was really cool from our angle last night just to watch him just tear apart Hunger Sight. It was unbelievable. Like he was very clearly at the forefront, just pushing and drumming so much. And again, we keep saying on almost every episode, he's drumming so much, yet leaving so much space for the rest of the band. And it was amazing. And then, Hunger Sight kind of has this formula now where you have this very long sustained peak, and then they'll get into some extra exploration on the back end. And these last few minutes of Hunger Sight, ooh-wee, good stuff. Dean, what did you think?
Well, the great part about Hunger Sight is it's such a fan favorite song and such an easy song to recognize. The first couple notes, you could just hear the crowd. And even my wife, who doesn't know every song right away, she instantaneously knows it's Hunger Sight right away. And everyone, especially people going to a show for the first time to catch Hunger Sight, it's such a great thing. So I'm happy for all of them. I loved it. It was great. It was a great jam. Nice long song. I thought it started to get a little dark evil towards the end, but it didn't really go in that. I just felt a little bit of it. I was hoping for a little more, and then came to an end, and then we go to another great jam. But it was great. So,
yeah. RJ, your thoughts on Hunger Sight?
Yeah, this whole set was basically like one large piece of music in my memory. Like with some Peter Gabriel singing in the middle, but like it was just. These guys are getting deep really quickly, and I agree about Cotter. Like I think, and Trevor and Cotter, which we heard Rick like mention before, like obviously seeing Trevor be so in sync with the drummer makes everything else easier for Rick and Peter, I think. So like it's really pretty phenomenal. Like you guys said, we're 20 shows into the era of this band, this lineup, and it's incredible. I definitely was like, it felt to me like a different kind of show. I hadn't seen them since Red Rocks last year, so to me it felt like a different, much more synced up band than what I saw last fall, for sure.
For sure. Neil?
Yeah, RJ, I definitely hear you on that. Like it felt like the second set, although 3 songs, was like like one big jam. I mean, so much jamming going on. And also to echo what you were saying, Ryan, it's just like I feel like it was just like watching Cotter's arms like all night. Like he was not just hitting the drums, but his hands were over his head, hitting the drums like throughout the whole entire second set. And it's just it was so good. Hunger Sight was amazing. Obviously, In Your Eyes was absolutely incredible. We doing the whole set in one shot here, or
no? But let's talk about In Your Eyes now.
Okay. In Your Eyes is always, it's one of my favorite Goose covers. I think Rick crushes the vocals on this. As good as any one that they do, although my favorite is AIU, but still. And then this one, they took it for an absolute ride. I think it's the longest one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 25
miles.
Yeah, which is crazy. And, they abandon In Your Eyes almost immediately and then find their way into just like
reverb clav.
Okay, yeah.
Reverb clav. Reverb clav.
Okay.
Right over my head.
Listen, I'm like a jam band guy, or whatever, but like this whole idea of like this is a version of In Your Eyes is like kind of silly, right? Like this happens with Fish too. It's like is this really In Your Eyes? Like after 4 minutes it's not, and then the next 21 minutes is just like amazing improv. But I understand you need like a jumping off point. Maybe that will be like a Philadelphia jam listed at some point. But
the cool part about it to me was how they found their way back to In Your Eyes at the end. You have this very percussive funk zone, and then it kind of takes off a little bit. You get back into the bliss zone, And then kind of without even realizing it, it's like, oh, wait, this is in your eyes again. Like it happened to me last night during the show. And then again, when we were listening today, it just kind of registered like, holy shit, like they're back. Like
bookended those. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore about like the improv. Like it's just super fun to watch live and interesting and different to me. That's all I have to say. Dean, you probably have more things to say.
I got lucky that I got to see the last 5 years of the Dead, and I call that getting lost in a jam, where they leave the song and they're jamming, and you're just like, what song is this? Wait, where are they? And then they come back to it and finish it. It's just awesome.
Which is the best feeling.
Yeah, it really is. And in so many ways. And I prefer, it's funny, I kind of feel like sometimes I go into the song myself. Like I don't like watching jams with my eyes open. I prefer to have my eyes closed. I just feel the song so much better. So I'll shut my eyes and just get lost in the jam. And sometimes you wonder, we're a 20-minute song. You're like, where are we? What song is this? You still, you know what it is, but it's funny because you're lost in the jam. And In Your Eyes was great. I ended up at the Cap in 23. It was night 3, I guess. I held my phone up the entire time I recorded that entire song. It's a really cool video. It's on YouTube. Little plug. But it's a great video. But this time I got to enjoy it completely for all 25-ish minutes, I guess. And got lost in the jam, of course.
Lost in the Jam is my favorite War on Drugs album, for sure.
There we go. RJ, you're getting credit. Love getting a Philly guy on the pod. RJ speaks the Queen's English.
Doing my best.
And then the set closes with Redbird. And yeah, this was, I said to Neil, I was like, oh, I guess curfew's 11:30. Like they're really starting to get out here on the Redbird. And then like a couple minutes later, it just ended, which was a shame because the short amount of Redbird that we got was so cool. Like it was really getting into some cool territory, kind of Factory Fiction adjacent. Neil, when Rick kind of turned around to talk to, to speak into the talkback, you're like, oh, I think they're going to go into Factory Fiction right now.
I was certain. Certain.
It sounded like it.
Like Factory Fiction and then Ride It Out, which would have been amazing had they done that. But
who needs an encore?
Yeah. We don't need the encore. Exactly.
They should have just played Arcadia for 25 minutes.
They should have played Factory Fiction all the way through the end of the night, and that would have been amazing. Well, whatever. I mean, I have to say this one thing about Redbird, though. Like, on the re-listen today, it's like kind of comical. The whole band stops on a dime, except for Peter.
Peter plays like an extra. Yeah.
It's just like, and that's like, that note is just so like
sad,
like symbolic for how I feel about like the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
No, well, you could tell in the way he said like thank you, like you could tell he was all like, I really did not want to stop playing that. Like that was cool.
So I was after we were talking about this, Ryan, with Clock Management, I was texting with Barber, who was saying that they had gone over a couple times at the Man, and because of the union work and basically the way that the curfew works, if you go over by 1 minute, it's thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So I feel like they, I don't know how much of a part of the job clock management really is, because like it kind of shouldn't be, but I understand why it is. Like you're up there to play music, you're up there to like do your thing, and like of course there are clocks everywhere, and like all these, like as a musician it's part of your job, but like I don't fault them. Like I just think it's like, but also they don't want to spend $20,000 to like jam Redbird for 5 minutes, $4,000 a minute of Redbird or whatever. So like
maybe I don't know, how good is the Redbird?
Very well. Maybe the fans could chip in a GoFundMe for the extra.
We were joking about that the other day. Like put up like on the screen, put up like a Venmo link and be let's crowdfund to get an extra 15 minutes right now. Send in money.
Like one of those fundraiser thermometers.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the thermometer like we're doing another song.
That's funny. The nice thing about like when the way Redbird ends, I look down at my watch and okay, 17 minutes. We're getting a big encore.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that. And that's the same thing that happened with Empress Night 2 at Maine. I looked down, I'm like, we're getting a big encore. This is great. So you knew you were getting something major one of their big songs, and obviously Arcadia being as big as they get, it was awesome. I figured it was Arcadia or Thatch. That was my one or two that I figured we were getting. I thought Madavon would be saved for Friday or Saturday. I'm sorry, yeah, for Saturday or Sunday, tonight or tomorrow. So
What day is it anyway? You're on tour, I think.
Saturday.
No idea.
Second to last show of the tour. Anyway, yeah, and this Arcadia is awesome.
Really great.
Neil. This was the second time Neil's wallet exited his pocket.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you know it's good.
I mean, this was so good. Like, I couldn't contain myself. And I was like lucky enough to be on the aisle. So like, I didn't really have to be very, reserved with like my dancing space. So I lost it. It was great. And like, this is a really, really good Arcadia.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what Arcadia has been so far this year, which is every version I absolutely love. Some people might say it's just a standard Arcadia.
I didn't say that. I agree with you that it's a really good Arcadia.
Okay, yeah. It's, but in any case, some people might say that. I don't agree with those people. All of the versions they played this year are excellent. This one, no exception. Absolutely killer. Huge peak. I mean, it's what you need for an encore. It's so great.
So here's my take on Arcadia. I think like it was the jam that was built on like patient build, right? Like it was the one jam where like it gets quiet and they slowly build it back up. It's almost like a Harry Hood kind of like equivalent for Goose. It's like it's what taught them how to like build toward the inevitable peak. And now they do that in like every song in totally different ways. That like when they do it in this way with Arcadia, where you know exactly what's going to happen, but it doesn't get less awesome every time. It's to me, it's like Harry Hood. It's like you know exactly what's going to happen, but it gets more awesome over time.
Yeah,
like, that's my.
You still get goosebumps in that Hood peak.
Yeah,
no matter what, even though you know it's
yeah, exactly.
During Arcadia last night, it's one of those moments where like I took a video of like a chunk of the ending peak because I was just like, this is one of those moments that you remember for a long time. Like looking around again, absolutely packed to the brim amphitheater. However many 12,000 people were there last night, and just everybody just raging to the Arcadia peak, and like. Yeah, it's like people as far as the eye can see. And it's like, I think about, some of the places that I've seen Goose and some of the places that I've seen them play Arcadia, thinking it's like where I saw them in Europe in November, and then they're here playing the Man, and tonight they're playing an even bigger venue, here in Forest Hills. Like it's really special getting to be along for the ride, like as they get bigger and bigger and, experiencing these shows, like it was interesting last night because SPAC last year, we went in being like, this is their biggest show ever. We know that for sure. And last night, I feel like that it was like, this is one of, but until Peter kind of announced it, it was like, oh wait, it is, and it's cool to see, the difference in vibe there and how it was just as exciting and just as strong, not having that be in my mind the whole show.
One of those records that lasts 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh, or that.
I mean, well, it's just so exciting that these things are happening, right? When I was young and like going to Fish shows, I was like thinking about like, Clifford Ball happens and you're just like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then like, the next year they do it again. And like, it's such an exciting time to be seeing live music when a band is, every day going out there and breaking records. Like, like the running joke is like Goose fans are always just like every show, it's the jam of the year. But like, that's what's really happening right now.
Kind of is, yeah.
It's all clicking for them right now. It is like that kind of, approaching that peak. And yeah, it's just so great.
And like you said, Neil, like you said, this is a great time to be a fan of jam bands. Like with Eggy and Goose and Fish and J-Rad and God, no, like I can't even mention. Like it's just there's so much beautiful different music. It's not like everyone's like a derivative Fish cover band or something. It's just like it's pretty incredible. And
that's why I'm here.
Well, you might get a moment or two, but I will say, dude, that Arcadia peak to me, that's like that is Goose's signature like
thing
moment.
Yeah,
it's like the going into the instrumental part of You Enjoy Myself, after the composed part. It's like the big build up peak, or it's like a peak and it's like the thing that I think it's the first thing I heard, from the Peach version in whatever year that was. I mean, it's incredible. So fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, on that note, we're gonna go head over to Forest Hills, get ready for tonight's show. I know Dean will let you get back on the road so you can make it in time for the show. But
Hey,
it's
I
gonna
hope
be
you
fun
guys.
tonight.
I hope you
What?
guys get. I hope you guys get the way it is tonight. I really do. I hope you guys.
I
get
hope
it
so
at the
too.
show.
You know what, RJ? I'm really sad that you can't make the show.
Me too.
But when they do play the way it is tonight,
Yeah.
you will be there in spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only in spirit.
Only in
Exactly.
spirit. There will be a lot of your spirit at the venue tonight, if I had to guess. It's going to be a great show. Of course, you know, we're going out there for the second night in a row. We're celebrating Goose's biggest show ever. You know, selling out Forest Hills is pretty awesome. And I'm just excited to see what they do. We got 2 more left. You know, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Goose again. I don't know about you. But
I guess we'll go.
you know, I was like a little tired for a lot of today, but I feel like the pod always like re-energizes me about Goose before seeing Goose. So
yeah.
Thank you, RJ and Dean, for being on today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having
Dean, we'll
us.
see you soon. RJ, I guess we'll talk to you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, talk to you soon. I hope so.
I hope
Dean,
so.
nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too, RJ. We'll shake hands one day.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for
one
having
day.
me on, guys.
Not today. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're coming to the show tonight, please say hi if you see us. We've been meeting lots of amazing people on this tour. And we will see you tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern to talk about tonight's show. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.